Okay, you just hold the microphone.
Wait, what should I say? What's my word?
You gonna look right here?
Just say it in the camera.
My UVU.
My UVU.
My UVU.
My UVU is discovery.
My future.
Opportunities.
Energy.
Awesome.
Passionate.
Inspiring.
My UVU is exciting.
My UVU is potential.
My UVU is affordable.
My UVU is the cat's meow.
My UVU is determination.
My UVU is
fearless. My UVU is hard work.
Freedom.
My UVU is worth it.
Hi, my name is Rob Smith, and I'm the student body president here at Utah Valley University. My UVU is success. Here at UVU, our core theme is student success. Oftentimes, we correlate success with the very specific criteria that must be met in order to be successful. Here at UVU, that is not the case. Success may be athletics and intramurals. It may be doing research with one of our great professors. It could be an internship or joining one of over 150 clubs. Or it could even be to join a student leadership organization. I hope all of you think about what success looks like for you as you begin your path here at UVU. Because success is personal, it may change over your time here at UVU. But UVU is the perfect place for you to be able to find what makes you successful as you prepare yourself for the rest of your lives.
Woo! Good evening. From one student to another, it is my great opportunity to welcome you here to Utah Valley University. Woo! Each of you have a beanie sitting under your seat. Please take that beanie in your hands and rise to your feet. Honored freshmen, esteemed faculty, staff, and administrators, and parents and family here in attendance tonight. It is my distinguished privilege to induct you into the student body here at Utah Valley University. Please put your beanies on. You are now officially Wolverines. We want to make sure that we commemorate this moment with you. So we're going to take a big group picture of our incoming 2017 freshman class. All right, squeeze in. Let's do this. Open mouth smiles, people. Woo! Please watch our social media accounts as we will be posting those in the next few moments, and make sure to use the hashtag UVULife. Please enjoy the rest of our program. Thank you.
Congratulations on selecting UVU as your higher education destination. Tonight marks the beginning of a remarkable journey where a vast world of educational and personal growth opportunities await you.
My UVU is open. Because for me, before I moved here, I didn't think there would be a lot of things that would happen in my life. And once I started, a lot of things opened up for me. I was able to get a job really quickly. All the classes that I took, all the professors that I was able to get to know, really opened up a lot of doors in my life to progress and get further than I ever thought I would.
At UVU, you will participate in a signature active learning process that we call engaged learning. This means you won't only study textbooks and be mentored by faculty, you'll be involved with hands-on learning opportunities that take you out of the classroom and into relevant real-world experiences.
My UVU is ultimate engaged learning. That is what we do every day. We do hands-on, we prepare students to go out in the workforce, and everything we do is with that purpose in mind.
When you come out of the ERT program, you have a step up above some of the other people because they come off the street,
They don't have quite the education that they need, and we're able to go in there and the learning curve is not so high or so steep.
UVU's approach to engaged learning applies to disciplines across the academic spectrum. For physics students, engaged learning means conducting groundbreaking cancer research that is helping to save lives. For American Sign Language students, it is the opportunity to master your language proficiency at one of the highest-ranked ASL programs in the nation.
I'm in the elementary education program, specifically the clinical program, which means I've been able to be in the classroom 3 days a week and work hands-on with the students. I've been able to get my teaching style. I know what I want to be as a teacher now. I know how I want to be.
No matter what course of study you choose to pursue, Utah Valley University's dedicated faculty stand ready to ensure that your UVU experience is more than just classroom time. Their focus is on a teaching and learning environment enriched by hands-on research opportunities, meaningful relationships, and memories that will positively shape the entire course of your life.
My UVU is discovery. UVU presents so many opportunities for new experiences, not just for the students, but for the faculty. Last year, I took some students to the Swiss Alps. They were having a conference on exoplanets, and the students were doing research on detecting microorganisms on a planet outside our solar system. I mean, you can't get any cooler than that, can you?
Your UVU experience can truly be everything that you hope and work toward. Here to introduce you to the faculty who will be guiding your journey, please welcome Deaf Studies instructor Ben Jericho and 2017 Deaf Studies graduate Tia Nero.
On behalf of the faculty at UVU, I am personally pleased and proud, as all of us are here tonight, to welcome you, our freshman class, to Utah Valley University. Tonight is about introducing you to the many opportunities in front of you so that you may gain a sense of purpose and pride as you pursue your educational dreams as a UVU Wolverine.
Perhaps you're wondering, why is it important for us to introduce our faculty on this night? It's because our faculty are at the heart of our educational experience here at UVU. One of my favorite things was to be able to get to know my professors in the Deaf Studies program at UVU. Your professors will mentor you, partner with you, and be invested in your progress and personal educational experience here at UVU.
Here at UVU, we are proud of our programs and the expertise that our faculty brings to the classroom. We want you to see the wealth of knowledge and diversity that is available to you as a student on our campus. Whatever dreams that you have come to UVU to pursue or discover, our faculty will help you unlock the potential that exists inside of you.
So tonight, we invite all of you to take the opportunity to get to know your faculty and your professors, learn from them, and seek out their knowledge so that you may become, just like they are, leaders in your respective fields.
Faculty, I ask you to please stand. Freshmen and guests, in recognition of their knowledge, their dedication to excellence in teaching, and their commitment to your success, please stand and honor them with a round of applause.
Thank you, and please be seated.
I'm Matthew Holland, president of Utah Valley University, and my UVU is astounding. The amount of growth at this university is truly astounding. You're joining one of the fastest growing and dynamic student bodies in the nation, more than 35,000 students strong. The quality of the academic experience here is astounding, with first-rate faculty providing cutting-edge programs that get students immersed in real-world practices and activities that make a real difference in the world. And we do this for students from every background, perspective, and walk of life. So I say, welcome to UVU. Prepare yourself for an absolutely astounding experience. I have to say, I think this is the most exciting day I have had so far at Utah Valley University. I'm now going into my 9th year as president of UVU, and today is just something special. I think it started with this morning, if we call up the screen, where I participated in a mass alien abduction experience. How cool was that eclipse today? Did you all participate in that? So it starts with alien abduction, and then it finishes tonight with you, with all of you students. This is a record number of freshmen here as part of this convocation, and it just shows the enthusiasm, the quality, and the excitement of what's in the air here for this entering class and where we are as an institution. So thank you for being here. This is a magnificent sight. It just truly inspires me. So I had the opportunity this summer to go to Oxford University on sabbatical. And I was really looking forward to being back in England. I've been there before with my family. And just to tell you a little, I like to tell this story that kind of highlights why we knew that it was going to be a great experience. We'd been in England before, where I directed a study abroad program. And when I came home to tell my family, my kids, that we were going to England for the summer, my wife was ecstatic. Most of the kids were ecstatic, except my 10-year-old son. He did not think this was a good idea. He had much better ideas about what his summer should look like. It involved football and friends and a lot of stuff, and it didn't mean going to Europe or England for the summer. So we took him, like, quite literally kicking and screaming. He was crying as we got him off the plane, said he didn't want to be there. But then, you know, after a week of a few castles and a few Yorkie candy bars, he thought maybe this isn't so bad. And then by the end of the summer, the second to last day, we're walking down Kensington Gardens. The double-decker buses are flying by. The sun is out. I've bought him a little pastry. We're walking down the street, and he looks up at me in this kind of MasterCard commercial priceless moment. He said, "Dad, I just had no idea how boring Orem was." So now I've got a bunch of international snobs at home for children. Anyway, it's a fascinating place. It's the birthplace of so much of our civilization, of our government, of our history, of our artistic culture, our religious culture. And so I was very excited to go there. And I had a 3-month sabbatical to go to Oxford and return to my roots as a political scientist and a historian. And to look at some things that start with the story of Thomas Jefferson. And so this is a picture of, an image of Thomas Jefferson. It's taken from our Roots of Knowledge windows. I don't know if you know about these, but in our library, it's almost 200 feet in length of stained glass window that treats the history of knowledge in the written word, cutting across geographies and time frames and disciplines. This is a painting that captures the American founding. That's Thomas Jefferson. And as you all know, Thomas Jefferson authored one of the most important statements that's ever been written in the history of man. That is not an overstatement. He crafted the original draft of the Declaration of Independence. And the key line in that declaration reads, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." In penning that phrase, he changed the world. Now, to you it may seem commonplace to say that all men are created equal. Now let's be clear about what he meant by that. He didn't mean that we have everything, we all have equal amounts of money or lands, and he didn't mean that we all have equal amounts of talent and ability. He knew that people had different talents, different abilities. Some people had more money, less money. Some people had more intelligence, less intelligence. But we were all equal in this fundamental way, that no one was by nature entitled to rule over you. That you are by nature an equal being with everybody else to decide for yourself how you will live, how you will work, how you will play, how you will worship or not worship. That is up to you. And no one is entitled to make those decisions for you but yourself. And before that, much of the world did not believe that. They believed that there were people who were by birth or by name or by skin color or by religion entitled to rule over you. And so he effected this seismic change, and he introduced in a powerful way this concept of human liberty. Now, with that human liberty came a certain problem. With everyone being free and equal to be what they wanted to be, it meant chaos unless we had some form of government. So even though we were free, we had to come together to create some form of government to allow us to be free in a condition of safety. And so that's where we meet Jefferson's friend, James Madison. That's a picture of James Madison, also pictured in the Roots of Knowledge windows in our library. Now, if Jefferson was the key author of the Declaration of Independence, Madison was the key author of the Constitution. And he famously said the following: in framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, today we would say by humans over humans, the great difficulty is this: you must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place oblige it to control itself. Meaning, because we're not perfect, because we are human, some of us better than others, some of us more honest than others, some of us more courteous than others, we have to have a government to keep us from kind of hurting each other, keep us safe so that we can pursue our freedom in safety and peace and order. But once we create that government is also made up of human beings who are imperfect. So we need to control not only the governed, but we need to control the government itself. And so Madison and his partners came up with this ingenious solution called the United States Constitution, filled with checks and balances that would incentivize people who may not otherwise be inclined to do so to work together and to not encroach upon each other's liberties. This, too, was a document that changed the world. Shortly thereafter, it's become in many ways our number one export. Countries virtually copying the principles of our Constitution to create order amongst the governed and to protect the governed from the government. It was a powerful time by very bright but also highly educated men. Now that's not the end of the story, because that's a fairly familiar story, and that wasn't what I went off to study. What I went off to study was something else. After these great two events, the Declaration of the Constitution, Jefferson and Madison started into a correspondence with each other. Jefferson was in Paris, Madison was in Philadelphia, Jefferson was the ambassador to France, and he started to ask this question. He said, if we've got all this freedom, what happens if a current generation uses its freedom and kind of gobbles everything up around it, uses up all the land, spends all of the money, takes on huge debts and passes it on to future generations? He says to Madison, isn't that a violation of what we believe in the Declaration? And Madison says, absolutely right. Each generation should think about the next generation. So Jefferson gets this fairly radical idea. He says, if that's true, imagine, he says, do a thought experiment. Imagine if each generation could come and go from a stage of life at the same time, or one after the other. So imagine a generation would come into existence, live out its time, and then and then exit the stage of human life all on the same day, as if you were born the same day and then everyone died the same day. And if you did that, you could kind of measure what each generation should do for the next, and that it should leave them land and liberty and a vibrant economy. And Madison says that's right, and so but Jefferson takes it one step farther, and he says, therefore, and he has this elaborate study that he does, and he looks at these mortality tables, and he says, it looks to me like each generation passes on every 20 years. Every 20 years, a majority of people who've been of voting age will pass away. And so he said, every 20 years we should blow up every law, every constitution, every public debt, so that the next generation could be free. It's a very provocative idea, and it's done in the spirit of making sure that future generations would be free. And he passes that on to Madison. He says, Madison, what do you think? And Madison sends him back a little postcard from Philadelphia that basically says this. Jefferson's older than Madison. Jefferson's more famous than Madison. Jefferson is brilliant. But Madison has to write back to his mentor and say, Tom, your kind of theoretical point is right, but your practical solutions are just crazy. Okay, I've been here at the Constitutional Convention. We're not going to do this every 20 years. And laws sometimes have to take effect over time so that people embrace them and know them and reverence them. And sometimes investment takes a long time, and it takes a while to pay that back. And so he kind of dials him back, and he comes up with a more simplistic, not simplistic, but a simpler phrase. And he says this: what's indispensable in the account between the dead and the living is to see that debits against the latter do not exceed the advances made by the former. That's a fancy way of saying you've got to make sure that the living generation makes decisions that passes on benefits to the future generations, and if there are some debts that come with those debts and those benefits have to equal each other. So that's how we need to move forward. Well, look, again, I'm nerdy. This is your little lecturette, but this is, again, what we do at universities. We tackle these important and sometimes complex ideas, and we think about them, and we study them, and we try to learn from them. And this is what's happening between Jefferson and Madison. These are two very smart guys, and they're arguing with each other and reasoning with each other and studying great books and ideas and trying to move the world forward. Well, out of this comes this very fruitful discussion and some insights that, yes, we're free as a people, and we're entitled by nature as equal beings to be what we want to be, choose who we are, but we have to pass that freedom on to future generations. We have to make sure that we provide a proper environment, that we invest in education, that we don't run up so much debt that future generations are paying for our decisions. And Jefferson and Madison thought through that, and that's what I went to study, is to think through that and see what the implications were of that. And it was a fascinating summer for me. But something even more fascinating happened. That's Pembroke College, one of 30 different colleges that exist. Oxford is this very interesting, it's not a single university. It's made up of 30 quasi-independent colleges, and that's the college where I attended. And I would have these lunches where we'd be talking about Jefferson and Madison, these things I was investigating. And then I was invited to present about it. People were intrigued with these ideas and wanted me to share it more formally, and I did that. But something happened almost always at the end of these informal lunches or these formal presentations, is they started to ask me about UVU. And we'd start with Jefferson and Madison, and we would end talking about this very unique thing we call Utah Valley University and what we're doing in higher education today. And I can't tell you the interest that was generated there, because the UK right now is going through its own higher ed crisis, trying to figure out how to make education more practical, how to make it more tied to the real world, how to help vocational education flourish, even as it makes university education more relevant and engaged. And when I started to lay out for them what was happening at UVU, they were absolutely fascinated. And it led to so many discussions that got talked about around the country that I was invited to Parliament to speak to a special group, the All-Party Parliament Group for Foreign Affairs, that did a special session on education. Here's a picture of me with Baroness Nicholson, a member of the House of Lords. She's the one who organized the event. And we had a standing room only event there with members from the House of Lords, members from the House of Commons, from all three parties, Labor, Tory, a Liberal Democrat. We had representatives from Oxford and Cambridge. We had representatives from the Church of England. And I was on this panel with other education leaders, but question after question came back to UVU and what you're doing, why you're growing so fast, and why your students are having such success in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And so it was my great honor to tell the story of UVU in that very famous historic setting. And the story for me is captured in this photo right there. What you see, what we're doing here at UVU is really unique around the nation. Because on one hand, we're combining the best of a community college. Lots of vocational programs, career and technical education, open admissions, low tuition, and yet that community college is sitting side by side with now a first-class teaching university, where we're doing all of the liberal arts and sciences and doing it with excellently trained faculty with outstanding PhDs behind their credentials and engaging students in the classroom as they're doing it. And this is sitting side by side with both sides of the university committed to this idea that you've heard about, engaged learning. Taking whatever we're doing in the classroom, whatever we're reading about in books, and applying it to the real world around us. And the consequence of this are massive amounts of student success. Remember, that's where I started. That's what this is all about. We're here not to become famous for economic development or peer-reviewed research or a lot of other things. We are here for you, to help you grow and discover gifts you didn't have, to hone skills that you need to prosper in the world around you, to go make creative, unique, world-changing contributions yourself. And it's happening. Let me just give you a few examples. One of the reasons that it was easy for the folks at Oxford and Pembroke College to get excited about what I was talking about, because they had seen firsthand the product of a UVU education. This is Nicholas Cole in the upper right. He's not only a brilliant Oxford historian, he's a wizard computer scientist, a true Renaissance man, just like the old Oxford Don. He's created this project that's taking all of the documents of the Constitution, the records from the convention, meeting minutes from committee meetings, personal diaries. It's all being digitized and all being integrated so that you can literally go moment by moment to see how the Constitution was developed. This will revolutionize the study of the Constitution. It's being operated out of Oxford University, but look at who his 3-star interns are, UVU graduates. And what he told me is he's got a stable of interns, but he said, I would take a UVU graduate over any other that I've had here at Oxford University. Not to say that he wouldn't take his own students, he's got plenty of them, but he said, these UVU students, they're just as bright as my students, but they're hungry, and they know how to work, and they're willing to apply themselves, and they see practical issues and how to solve them. And so he's been talking to his colleagues about that. You could have looked a little bit farther to not just Oxford, but England. While I was there, I ran into a UVU student group there. This is a fabulous project led by some of our faculty in the School of the Arts. It brings together students in photography, students in English, and students in design, and they're studying the sites of the legend of King Arthur. And they're putting together this beautifully conceived book about the legends of King Arthur. And it's all student done. They're doing the writing, they're doing the photography, they're doing the layout, the design, the binding. All of that will be a beautiful product that will go on the resume of these students who have worked together in this real-world context in the fascinating setting of England and medieval history. Other examples, you saw Tim Doyle earlier, path-breaking research in breast cancer detection, where students are getting published in national outlets. Here's a very moving thing for me. This is one of our students who went with a cohort of students down to the Navajo reservation. 6 of our education students went and embedded themselves in some of the most underserved schools in our nation, taking this group of Navajo students who are these young kids who are, they're hungry to learn. They want to advance, but don't have all of the resources they need. And our students went, taking their great education training. They had those Navajo students eating out of the palms of their hand, excited about what an elementary education could mean for them. Our drama students regularly, absolutely, applaud away, regularly winning national awards, the National Collegiate Theater Festival, back-to-back championships. This little old school from Boring, Orem, Utah, dominating the college national theater stage. Maybe you'll want to get involved in our personal financial planning, a top 10 program in the nation. It's also connected to our effort to have our students pass the Certified Financial Analysis exam. The Wall Street Journal has called this the hardest exam in the nation. The average pass rate for a first-time undergraduate is 8%. Your colleagues at UVU who completed this exam for the first time as an undergraduate, the pass rate, 84%. This is a site from one of our digital film program. The other day, one of my colleagues was sitting in a meeting with the leading industry heads of this state, committed to, involved with the film program and the film industry, especially as it relates to the digital side of things. And not knowing my colleague was in the room, the chair of the board stood up and said, "I need you folks to know something. The very best students that we have in this state for our industry come from Utah Valley University, because they not only know the theory of it and the discourse of it, they've done it, and they've done it in a cutting-edge way." It was an amazing compliment, and he didn't know that we were in the room to hear it. And then finally, I've talked about the roots of knowledge. This was a fabulous project involving hundreds of our students, designing this great tribute to the very makings of what we understand to be human knowledge and understanding. And here's a little glimpse of that wall. Again, if you haven't been there, you need to make your way to the library. But their involvement led to this not just national but international recognition. This is from one of the main newspapers in the UK, calling this one of the most spectacular stained glass windows made in the past century. CNN did a special feature on it, calling it spectacular, inspired, excellent, inspirational, a wonder, a tour de force. Well, what you can see is that from Oxford to Parliament to some of the leading educational outlets in this nation, let me just show you a few, UVU is on the map. In just the last year, we've had feature articles from the main journals for higher education in this nation: the Chronicle of Higher Education, University Business, Education Dive, the Times Higher Education Report. I could share you many, many statements from these. I'll just close with this last statement from Education Dive. What they said are, schools like Utah Valley University are the future of higher education, where one institution or one system can address the full needs of a city or state's workforce with multiple resources for education. You are coming to Utah Valley University at the very best time. We've never been more noted or appreciated nationally and even internationally for what we're accomplishing. It's because of that outstanding faculty in the back of the room, and it's because of our core themes and mission that we're striving to be serious. We take ideas seriously. We're striving to be inclusive. We welcome everybody on this campus. Everyone is welcome here at Utah Valley University. Doesn't matter your skin color, your religion, your sexual orientation, wherever you're coming from, your socioeconomic status, you are welcome on this campus. And then we are engaged with the world around us. And this is driving that student success, and you will feel it, and you can be a part of it, and you're starting tonight. And so let me finish with one last thought, and let me make it again personal, which is, how do you make the most of your UVU experience? I hope what you've seen tonight is we are working very hard as administrators, faculty, and staff to give you the very best experience you can have here in higher education. So what is it you need to do? Well, let me return to my friend Thomas Jefferson. When I was a little boy, my parents, who were in graduate school and didn't have much money, somehow scraped up money to buy me a set of books about American historical figures. It obviously had an impact on my life. One of my favorites was this book about Thomas Jefferson. And I can show you the page that still matters the most to me. Page 19. It's a picture of Thomas Jefferson with his feet in a bucket of cold water. Tom wanted to be the best lawyer in Virginia. He worked for 5 years. He got up every morning at 5 o'clock. To wake himself up, he put his feet in cold water. At night, he studied long past midnight. He felt a good lawyer should know other things besides law. So Tom studied history and science and geography. He learned to read and write in 6 languages. There's a lot of wisdom in that short piece written for a 6 or 7-year-old. On one hand, what we ask you to do at a university is study something very deep. We're going to ask you to major in something. We're going to ask you to become a real expert in a particular field. And you should do that and embrace that and think about what your passions are and what you'd like to study and really devote your life to. But in addition to that, we also ask you to study broadly. We're going to ask you to take some classes maybe you may not be as interested in, but you got to catch the spirit of Thomas Jefferson to know it's not just only your own field that you need to be interested in. You need to know something about science. You need to know something about literature. You need to know something about history and geography. So we're going to ask you to do that. And you should do it and relish it, because there's not a lot of time in the rest of your life when you're going to be able to pursue these things. And I promise you, this stuff will only get more interesting to you as you grow older. And then finally, I'll say this. We're going to ask you to work. A university education doesn't just happen. Now, some of you have come from high school, and you've been pretty smart, and you've been able to get by, or maybe you just didn't take it that seriously, but you knew you needed a university education. That's not going to be enough here at Utah Valley University. Now, I don't know if you have to get up at 5 o'clock every morning and study past midnight, and I don't even know if Thomas Jefferson actually did that every single day. But I do know this. He was a very bright man, but he knew that brains alone was not enough. He was going to have to work very hard, and so are you. If you will take what we're doing, and by the way, we're working very hard, and a lot of us get up very early and work late to provide what we're giving you here at UVU. But if you will take what we're providing, and those great faculty back there are providing for you, and you will embrace that idea of becoming an expert in something, becoming broadly trained in other areas, and then embracing at least the spirit of work that we see here in Thomas Jefferson, this experience will transform your life. There may not be any other thing that comes close to it in changing you the way a university education will change you. It will empower the way that you talk, the way that you think, the way that you act. It will dramatically change your earning power, your health, your ability to form human relationships, to say nothing of the exciting things that it may produce for you to go create. I see before me people who can go change the world. Someone who can go create $1 billion business. Someone who can go write an award-winning novel. Someone who could go be elected a United States Senator and make a difference in the world. I see that kind of potential before me. And I know the kind of the institution that sits behind me just waiting for you to help draw that out of you. But you've got to make the most of it. This is your moment. This is your hour, and these are your years. Make the very most of it. Don't squander it. It's too precious. And if you do make the most of it, I can promise you that it will bring you more good, more opportunity, more joy and creativity than you could find almost in any other way. It's a great honor for me to welcome you to Utah Valley University and this most exciting new chapter of your life. Thank you very much.
Somebody save your soul, 'cause you've been sinning in the city. I know too many troubles, all these lovers got you losing control. You like a drug to me, a luxury, my sugar and gold. I want the good life every good night, you're a hot one to hold. 'Cause you don't even know. I can make your hands clap. Said I can make your hands clap. Somebody save your soul, 'cause you've been sinning in the city. I know too many troubles, all these lovers got you losing control. Said I can make your hands clap. Said I can make your hands clap. Said I can make your hands clap.
New Wolverines, it's time for the Freshman Family Barbecue. Please follow the Green Man Group out the South Arena doors to the Fountain Courtyard for food and fun.